Hi, class. I want to talk about how to use the online version of Statdisk to do project two. And again, I'm not going to uh, do the project in detail, just basically give you enough of instruction so that you know how to use Statdisk to do things like get histograms or descriptive statistics and so on. So um, remember that to get to the online version, you type in www.statdisk, that's statdisk.com. So if you see that um, part of it, it's just statdisk.com, you'll get to this picture here. And then you need to set up an account at the beginning of the course. So you should have uh, something you can put in there. And I'll put my email address in and my password. And I'll sign in to Statdisk. So again, this looks a little different than the downloaded version 13, but it does the same thing. So as we get on through this, we shouldn't have to make any kind of special changes or use any kind of different functions though. So we want to get started here, and it says open the earthquake data, right, from data sets here. Let's see, from elementary stats 13, we're going to go over to earthquakes. Okay, and I'm going to click on that, and there's my earthquake data. And what are the names of the variables in this file? And you can see again here magnitude and depth. Now, again, that's your data should always be labeled there. And then create a histogram. So here's one of the things that we want to be able to do with Statdisk. So we want to create a histogram that matches up with this table here, because you're going to have to fill this table in based off of the histogram. It says we want a user-defined plot option with a class width of 5, and you can see here that's 0 to 5, 5 to 10, and so on. And again, this isn't exactly accurate the way it should be. Again, because here's a 5 here and a 5 here, and we realize that if it turns out to be exactly 5, which one does the 5 go in? But again, this is just for display purposes. So we would really be up to like 0 to 4.99 and then 5 to 9.99 and so on. But this is good enough for now. So we want to have a class start at 0. And we're going to get that in there. So you can go under data and get a histogram. And sometimes there's things under analysis too that shows up in these other functions. But for now, we're just going to go to data and click histogram. And then here we say create a histogram for the depth. Okay, for depth. So we need to select our column in the depth column. So I had to go down and select that. And we want a class width of 5. So class width, this is going to be user defined, class width of 5, class start at 0. Okay. And we can have frequencies or counts, or we could also get the relative frequencies or the percentages. All right, so we're going to do counts. And remember here, if you see in this table, frequencies goes here, relative frequencies are in here, and the X values, right? X label, Y label is the frequency. So we're going to plot this thing. All right. So it starts at 0, and the first one, let's see, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're still counting this, even though there's 0 in it, and 9, right? So the way they have it here is they go from 0 to 4.9. So that means 5 goes into this category, right? So from 5 to 9.9, that count is going to go into here. And then from 10 to 15, well, it's 10 to 14.9, right? So that's going to go, 30 is going to go here. And then we're going to start at 15 and 9 and so on. So we're going to put those values in. So you look at this first one, and it's at a height of 193. So you would put in here 193 for the frequency. And 346 goes in the next one. 30, 19, 5, 5, 5, 1, 0 into this one, right? And then 40 to 45, there's 1 here. Okay, great. Now you can calculate the relative frequencies by hand, or we could get down here and just click here, plot again, and you'll see now that these are in percentages. Okay, so when we do relative frequency, again, relative frequency means percent of the total. So 32.166 of the data values fell in this first classification, right? This first grouping, 32. And look, 57.67, you can round those off, and that would be fine. Goes in the second one here, or here for relative frequency. The third one has about 5% of the data values. We go into the third one. And then the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, 0.16% fell in there, 0 there, right, 0.16, 0.8%, 0.8, and so on. Okay, so relative frequency. And then cumulative frequency, you would look at your counts and add them in as you go on up. So if there was 10 here and 5 here, you would take 10 plus 5 and get 15. You had 10, 5, and 3, you take 10 and 15 and 18, and you put 18 over here and so on. So you add these, go over and put the total here for the cumulative frequency. Okay, so, and then you have some interpretation questions there. And then here it says, create a modified box plot that compares magnitude and depth of earthquakes on one graph. So let's go back there to data and go to box plot. And we want to compare magnitude and depth, right? Now, it says create a modified box plot comparing magnitude and depth. So here we got magnitude and depth, modified box plot. So here's my 2 box plots. And paste that in here. You can copy paste. So remember that this you can do copy paste, Control V or Control C for copy, Control V to paste in. And let's look at some questions. So part 3, open family heights. So data sets. We're going to go to family heights this time. And we don't need this. We're going to go back and, oh, here's the family heights are in there already. Okay, so you can show the sample editor. You can hide that sample editor. We want to leave it right there for a minute. Okay. Now, list all the variables in the data set again, father, mother, first son, first daughter. So, and then okay, here we want to find the mean, median, and the mid-range for the data in column 2 right here. Okay, so let's look into data and look at descriptive statistics. Now, column 2, father, mother, so the second column, and we click on evaluate. So we've got all this stuff. And we want to find the mean, median, mid-range. So let's look, we're going to have to, the mean is 64.15 and so on. The median is here, and then the mid-range is here. So it gives you a lot of stuff here to look at just from that one click of a button. And then range, variance, and standard deviation is given. So when you look on here, it's going to be in there somewhere. Right. So here's variance, standard deviation, range, given. List any values you think may be an outsider, and create a modified box plot. And that's, so here's a box plot. And they're saying, well, if you want to, the modified box plot will show the outliers if there's any there. So let's go back and we're going to do data and a box plot. The column 2 data mother box plot and a modified box plot. And nope, it doesn't really show any outliers in here. Here's one maybe right there. Right, that value there looks like it's down there in the 50s. So show sample editor. Let's take a look at that. Here's one in 58. So that looks like that may be the only one that was below 60. 58.5, 59. So that was the furthest one to the left. So yeah, 50, we could say 58, that would be fine. And then find a mean, median, and mid-range for this. So that's the same as before. You go to the column 4 data, which is the first daughter, and repeat that process. And now find a 5-number summary for the family height data in columns 2 and 4. You will need to label each of the columns with an appropriate measure in the top row. So the 5-number summary, it means it's going to be in there somewhere. So let's go ahead and look at the descriptive statistics and select, and we can only do one at a time. So column 2, we're going to go back to those descriptive statistics. And of course, then you got to find out, well, what is the 5-number summary? And a little hint is right over here, right? Right over here. Column 2, first daughter, evaluate. Oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5-number summary relates to the box plot. Create a histogram, and then so on. And then you're pretty much done there, right? Submit to final draft, username and convention. So Statdisk really helps out a lot. The project takes you, not a lot of time. And you just copy and paste your stuff in. Again, you can copy here, Control V to paste in probably. And that's it.